Everyone, and I would like to remind everyone to please make sure that our cell phones are turned to the off or vibrate position. And also, please be advised our city council meetings are broadcast on Comcast Channel 99, AT&T Uverse, and the City of Gadsden YouTube channel. This meeting of the Gadsden City Council will now come to order. The chair will call on City Clerk Ivan Nelson for the roll call.
Councilwoman Toles?
Here.
Councilman Williams?
Here.
Councilman Worthy might not be here. He's participating in the job fair today. Councilman Back?
Here.
Wilson?
Here.
Cannon?
Here.
And Reed?
Here.
We have a quorum present and our meeting is open for business. And I'm going to ask Brian Harbison to lead the invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you pray with me? Almighty God, we give you the praise and the glory for today. This is a day you made, and we just thank you for it. Pray that you will bless our time here together this morning. Be with the council, give them the wisdom, the knowledge they need, and the decisions they'll be making. God, thank you for the mayor and his staff, his administration. We just pray, God, that you'll keep your hand on us as we move forward and help us to keep our eyes on you. We promise to give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the Education Recreation Committee work session and council meeting that was held August the 20th.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to approve minutes.
The chair will entertain a motion to ratify payments of accounts for the week of August 16th through the 22nd.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to ratify payment of the accounts.
Proclamation.
Carol Scott.
Whereas gynecologic cancers are among the leading cancer killers of women in the United States. More than 107,000 women will be diagnosed and more than 31,000 women will die from these diseases this year. And the absence they leave in our hearts will be deeply felt forever. The Laura Crandall, the Laura Crandall Brown Foundation and a State of Teal initiative brings awareness of all gynecologic cancers to the people throughout the state of Alabama. The good health and well-being of women in our state and the city of Gadsden are enhanced by an increased awareness of gynecologic cancers and their symptoms and treatments. It is crucial that all women in the state of Alabama and the city of Gadsden take an active role in learning the symptoms and risk factors associated with gynecologic cancers, developing healthy habits, undergoing regular medical examinations so that any occurrence of these diseases may be detected in their early stages and treatable stages. We reflect upon the memory of those lost to these diseases, the bravery of those currently battling these diagnoses, and the need for increased awareness, screening, and research so that the women of our state and city of Gadsden might be spared from them in the future, and encourage all citizens to work together to raise awareness of gynecologic cancers. Therefore, I, Sherman Guyton, Mayor of the City of Gadsden, do hereby proclaim September 2019 Gynecologic Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Gadsden. That's all residents to work together to raise awareness of these cancers. Yes, ma'am.
On behalf of all GYN and ovarian cancer survivors, I would like to thank the City of Gadsden for issuing this proclamation. Awareness and research is very, very important. As you know, 1 in 3 people will be diagnosed with cancer during their lifetime. Ovarian and GYN's rarer. It's 1 in 78 women will be, but more women die from the GYN and ovarian cancer diagnosis. I am an 11-year survivor of stage 2 ovarian cancer, and I am thankful that mine was found, even though it was found accidentally, as most GYN and ovarian cancers are, because they are often misdiagnosed as a digestive problem. I'm thankful mine was found early enough. I'm 11 years out from my diagnosis. I have had no recurrences, and I am thankful for that, but I wish more women would be found like that. In our community, we lost a young wife, mother, awesome teacher to ovarian cancer just earlier this year. I have my friend with me today, and I'm going to let her tell you just a little bit about her story also.
Hey, I'm Brenda Parrish. I am 11 years also. I was diagnosed 11 years ago. I was 32 years old. This is my 4th reoccurrence. I am one that has the positive BRCA gene. So all you men out there, listen up, because it can affect you as well. Please, encourage your family, your sisters, your brothers, your aunts, your uncles, your mother, your dad to go to the doctor and be up on your health. My daughter is BRCA positive. She's only 18. My son is BRCA positive. Men have an increased chance of prostate cancer and melanoma and also breast cancer.
So it is important to be aware of your body. Be persistent with your doctor if they kind of blow you off about it, and take care of yourself. And wear your teal in September, and let's work to get more research done, because there is no test for finding this cancer, and it needs to be. So push for awareness and research. Thank you so much, City of Gadsden.
Thank you.
Okay.
Y'all can focus.
Thank you for making us aware, or continuously making us aware of that deadly disease. At this time, do we have any unfinished business?
Yes, Madam President. We need to revisit a resolution concerning alcoholic beverage license for Queen Mama Food Mart located at 725 Tuscaloosa Avenue. We conducted a public hearing on August 13th, and I think the intent was that this application be denied, but we didn't actually complete all the procedural processes for doing that. So at this time, I would like to move to substitute a resolution denying this license. And the reasons stated in the resolution are that the Police Chief Jaggers has recommended that the license be denied due to the failure of the applicants to disclose a prior conviction reflecting adversely on the character and reputation of the application or the applicant. And also the City Council finds that Queen Mama Food Mart, Inc. has failed to meet all of the requirements of the Code of Ordinances for issuances of the such license. So at this time, I'd like to move to substitute a resolution denying this license.
So what is the pleasure of the council?
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to substitute the resolution denying the issuance of the license, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to substitute.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution denying the business license, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
And just a point of personal privilege to the public here, again, the reason this license was denied was because there were actual criminal convictions that the applicant had that they did not personally disclose on the application, which is required. It wasn't until a follow-up background check was performed that it exposed some of those convictions. So that's the reason the license was denied.
This is the time and place as advertised to conduct a public hearing allowing anyone to speak in opposition to or in favor of an ordinance amending city code regarding mobile food vehicles. This amendment code section 130-493B to clarify that the regulation referred to city property and section 130-497 to allow operation 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution, this ordinance? Is there anyone to speak in favor? This ordinance has been presented today for first reading, and the council will vote on it next week. Our next public hearing is an ordinance rezoning property located at 404, 408, and 410 North 24th Street in District 6 from an R1 one-family resident district to a B2 general business district. The owner wishes to expand his existing business currently on adjoining property. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Is there anyone to speak in favor? Your name?
Hey, my name is Bo Shirley. I'm the owner of Nilco, and just letting you know that we're running out of space. I've got some land over there that we want to add on to our facility, and that's the reason that we're up here, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. This ordinance was presented today for first reading, and the council will vote on it next week.
Mr. President, if I may I go ahead and suspend the rules? So Mr. Shirley is here today, and he voted in favor, and we really need this in Alabama City. And the longer we wait, the longer it's going to be before he builds this new building. Could we go ahead and vote on this today, please?
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the ordinance today at its first reading, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we have unanimous consent.
I move to adopt this, please. We'll go ahead and get started.
Second.
Absolutely.
No, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Bo, you can go ahead and get started anytime. You get all your paperwork together, and you'll be ready to roll. All right, thank you, guys. All right, thank you.
Our next public hearing is an ordinance rezoning property located on Valley and Reservoir Street in District 3 from an R1 one-family resident district to a B1 neighborhood business district. The owner wishes to operate a restaurant at 503 Valley Street, and the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Is there anyone to speak in favor?
Madam President, Wilford Phillips.
Would you go to the podium and your name and address?
My name is Richard Ray. Wilford Phillips is the applicant, and he's my client, and he had to be out of state at a funeral today, and certainly he's in favor of it, but I wanted to express his regrets that he was not able to appear.
Oh, okay, all right. But this ordinance, as stated, will be presented it was presented today for the first reading, but we will vote on it next week. Our next public hearing is a resolution on an abatement of nuisance on property located at 411 Allen Street in District 1, Hill Enterprise LLC, in care of Walt Higgins and Joanne Higgins and Katie Landers being the last known owners. Is there anyone to speak in opposition to this resolution?
Madam President, I'm Brian Harbison with the Building Department. The owner has obtained a demolition permit, and they're in the process of starting to remove the structure. So we're going to ask that this case be tabled for 30 days. Thank you.
So what is the pleasure of the council? I move that we table this for 30 days.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to table the resolution for 30 days, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to table for 30 days.
Our next public hearing is a resolution on abatement of nuisance on property located at 1344 Stillman Avenue in District 2. And this is Neely Brooks William and State of Alabama being the last known owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Is there anyone to speak in favor?
Madam President, we filed our case in January of this year. There have been no improvements. There are no permits to improve. And we're asking today for a resolution to abate this nuisance.
What is the pleasure of the council?
Move to abate. Second.
Oh,
Mr. Harbison, is that a rehabable home potentially?
That's our plan.
Okay. And while everybody's reviewing this, I'll let the public know, we do have a program where if a house has been abandoned or we're to the point where we have to abate the nuisance, if the home is in some level of good construction, we can spend a percentage of the total value of the home to actually save that home and bring it back up to an inhabitable state. So that's what we'll try to do with this one.
clerk, will you take the vote?
Those, we don't have a motion.
We already did.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
He was early.
Deverick, motion.
They're very good.
Kent
Was
second.
that to adopt as well?
Yes.
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution on abatement of nuisance on property located at 1012 Tidmore Bend Road in District 2, State of Alabama, subject to redemption rights of Pauline Ballinger, guardian and Litham for Pauline Ballinger, Jacob Milliken Esquire, and Pauline Ballinger in care of Gary Humphrey being the last known owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? If you'll come to the podium and give your name and address, please.
Hey there, I'm January Milliken. I am a representative of Mr. Milliken's. He is the legal guardian for Miss Ballinger. And we have, well, first, we received notice. It was dated January 11th. We received it at our home late July instead of at the office. We have tried to put the house on the market. She is in a nursing home, and we are in the process of trying to get that home sold, but there's some damage on the inside that we're having issues having it listed because of some fire damage.
So basically, what are you asking the council?
To not abate it and to give us some time.
Okay.
How much time? How much time?
Reassess in 60 days, if possible.
30. That's what we've been doing.
Ms. Milliken, just to clarify, normally they typically will give 30-day extensions on this, but the real solution is if you're wanting to be able to sell the home, maybe we need to hear from Mr. Harbison about just what's wrong with the exterior and what it would take to bring it up to code before we talk about extension time. So
Okay.
you guys see, we'll hear from him and then
Sure.
we'll maybe ask you a couple more questions.
Sure.
Is there anyone who speak in opposition? Yes.
There's a gentleman out here.
Can you reach it down?
My name is Gary Alfrey, and the Millikins have been over my mother's stuff for about 4 years. And we tried to notify them for 3 years about the house, and they would never come around, and a bunch of drug addicts moved in and destroyed the house. And the city here had come over and got 20-something rabbits out of the house, about 18 cats, and 4 dogs had been running wild in the house, and the house is destroyed inside. And it's so bad, I won't even go in. It's bad, it stinks. And I would appreciate if y'all just destroyed it and get me away from it.
Thank you.
Was he on the house? He on the house. That gentleman on the house.
Is there anyone who would speak in favor? Huh? Favor.
I think that was in favor.
Yeah, technically that was in favor.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hello.
Madam President, we filed this case in January of this year. There have been no improvements. As you can see in the pictures, the house is not secure, and there are no permits to improve. We're asking for a resolution to abate. Thank you.
I'll have one question. The young lady stated that they got a notification. Would the notification go to an office, or would it go to the last known owner?
It'll go to last known address according to the tax assessor's office. This property, as far as I know, did it go to the state? Are the taxes current? Okay.
It did. It had the state of Alabama on there. It had state of Alabama on my paperwork.
Yeah, I see. What is the pleasure of the council?
Move to abate.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Ms. Milliken, just so you know, that abatement won't happen immediately. So there is still an opportunity for you to work with the building department, Mr. Harbison, if you have some immediate plans to secure the property and get it to where it's acceptable from the outside to abate that nuisance. You still have time to do that. That doesn't necessarily, just because we voted to abate, that doesn't mean that it's coming down tomorrow.
And I'm sure your husband would know that he could go ahead and file something to prolong this with a hearing if he had to. I'm just giving you all your legal, which he probably knows anyway.
It's a lot easier just to talk to Mr.
It
Harbison
is.
after the meeting, really, because he can tell you, I'm sure you already know. Better communication that way.
But we was probably 6 months behind on tearing it down. Are we about that way now, Brian?
Just for the record, Ms. Milliken, I'm sure you knew that too.
It'd be my luck he'd be out there the next day and tear it down. I wouldn't guarantee that.
You're right.
I'm
Mr.
dead.
Gary wants it torn down. Our next public hearing is a resolution on abatement of nuisance on property located at 962 Brentwood Drive, District 3, State of Alabama, subject to the right of redemption of the estate of Mattie Coleman. where Jacob Milliken Esquire is the personal representative of the estate, being the last known owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution?
Once again, I'm January Milliken. I'm a representative from Jacob Milliken's office. Mr. Milliken was just recently appointed as the personal representative of Ms. Coleman's estate, and we are in the process of redeeming the property from the estate.
Mrs. Milligan, is Mr. Milligan aware, or are you aware of the condition of the property at this point?
I personally have not been to the property, but I do know that it does need some repair. And like I said, we are in the process of redeeming it. We filed paperwork with the probate office before it would have transferred, and we're waiting to proceed with redeeming the property.
Okay. Well, along with what the other council members have shared, the conversation with Mr. Harbison will allow you to understand the state and what code violations are present.
Of course. And we didn't receive notice of the proceeding, so we were never served that there was a problem out there. And like I said, Mr. Milliken was just appointed as the personal representative just a few months ago.
Yeah, and that explains that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anyone to speak in favor?
Madam President, we filed our case in January of this year. There've been no improvements. There are no permits to improve. And just as a note of record, the state of Alabama purchased this on May the 16th, 2013 for back taxes. The notices were sent to them and to Ms. Coleman, the best that we could do with that. We're asking for a resolution to abate. Thank you.
Mr. Harbison, is this house a candidate for any kind of rehabilitation? Is it in a position where it could be salvageable
No,
in any way?
that would be a no.
Ms. Milliken, you might want to look at the pictures when the mayor gets through with how bad the house looks.
You know, the reason why I asked that, Ms. Milliken, is that, you know, the last thing we want to do is to tear down a house. We're at a housing shortage basically in Gadsden with our rental stock, but there reaches a point where from a business standpoint, you have to understand that if a house is worth $20,000, but it's going to take $40,000 to fix it up, probably nobody's going to do that. And so then that house just sits and it continues to decline. Neighbors, it brings down the value of the neighborhood. So this council is left in an untenable situation of having to constantly, every week, tear down houses. That's why we're 6 months behind in our tearing down of houses. What we have to do, what would be great, is to catch this on the front side when the house is worth $20,000, but it would take maybe $5,000 to rehabilitate the house where somebody could live in there. But it seems like we never get to that point in time. It seems like we're always playing from a lesser situation. So, I mean, I encourage people, if you know that your parents, or if you know that you're going to have a house one day that's just going to go to the state or go to somewhere, let the city know. Let somebody know where we can get on the front side of these and we can turn them into a house where someone could either purchase a house or rent the house, and then we don't have to go to the expense. It's your tax dollars that's tearing down these houses. You know, we always talk about the city, and the city this and the city that. The city is basically the taxpayers' money. And so in order to spend that money more efficiently, if we could get on the front side of this problem, it would save a lot of tax dollars that we could put into maybe better initiatives in the city that we would like to do, but we don't have the money because we continue to have to feed this animal over here that is an unnecessary expense in, I think, our opinion. But we're the people, we're the governing body that has to deal with this. So please keep that in mind as life goes on. I mean, people need to know that don't let your property get to this point to where we have to tear it down.
And one thing I'll add to that, Ms. Milliken, just want to say thank you to you and your husband for being willing to step in as guardian in these situations and try to make the best of what's obviously a bad situation. That's a service certainly that you provide to the community, and we appreciate it.
Sure. Most assuredly, you're kind of in our position. You've inherited something that there's really not a great answer to.
Yeah.
But you're doing your job. And when I say you, I'm not speaking of you. I'm speaking of y'all in general, the city of Gadsden. So thank you. I agree with the councilman.
What is the pleasure of the council?
Move to obey.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution on abatement of nuisance on property located at 1904 Adams Street. And this is in District 5, Jose C. Vidas, certain mortgage in favor of Edgewater Steelworkers Credit Union in the name of Glenda Wells and Terry Wells, being the last known owners. Is there anyone to speak in opposition to this resolution? Did you want to speak? If you'll come to the podium.
Opposition or in favor.
Oh.
Yeah, we're waiting. I'm translating.
Okay.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Is there anyone to speak in favor?
Madam President, this case involves a partially burned structure. We filed it in April of this year. There've been a few improvements to the outside of the house, but as you can tell in the picture, the exterior rear of the property has been in that condition for several months, and we're continuing to receive complaints. We certainly wouldn't be opposed. Haven't heard from anybody. If someone stepped forward and said they'd be willing to finish it, that's all we're asking. We're asking for a resolution today. Thank you.
All right. All right, if you come, state name, probably your name and his name.
Okay, I'm Angela Allenstein. I'm just a translator. He is Jose Vides. Acércate un poco. So he bought that property around December. He didn't know it was a lot of damage, as much as there is right now, but he has improved it. He's bought a lot of materials. He's spent over $30,000. He's repairing it as we speak, and it should be done in about a month. Como algo en un mes, ¿verdad? Sería. Posiblemente. Maybe like more than a little month, maybe like a month or so. But other than that, 2 months, that's the longest that he needs to get it up to code and everything. And he has pictures, but he doesn't have them like on a, he didn't print them out, they're on his phone. So if you guys would like to see those pictures, he could pass those around.
We were able to review some of the pictures.
Okay, good.
I would be willing, because it does look like there was some construction going on there at some point at least, and that some improvements were made. I'd be willing to table this for 30 days if the council agreed with that, but we wouldn't be able to stretch it further than that. And then if some genuine progress has been made over those 30 days, maybe we could revisit it again, but that 30 days would be the best I think that we could offer.
Dice que queda 30 días para renovar. Si se puede, lo más largo lo puede 30 días. Si usted lo puede hacer a lo que tiene que hacer usted en 30 días, entonces sí. O sea, si usted puede hacer.
And I want to be.
Dice que sí, hay bastantes cosas que están haciendo. O sea.
Mrs. Allenstein, I want to be completely clear here. This is absolutely an attempt on behalf of me and District 5 to apply some pressure and keep that pressure on there. That's the reason I'm not willing to do more than 30 days.
Termina la casa. Eso es todo, para que se vea bien para la ciudad.
We need to get it wrapped up.
Okay.
Can I just tell him that he needs to work on the outside? That's where we get most of the complaints, where people come by and see it as falling in. The outside is where you need to get it, brought it up to code and looking good. The outside, then you could.
Take your time on
Muchas de las
that.
quejas son de los de afuera porque está feo lo de afuera. las quejas que están generando la gente son de los de afuera. Si se puede arreglar de afuera más o menos para que se vea bien, se puede. Okay. Okay.
Ms. Allenstein,
Yes.
tell him thank you for his efforts. That's kind of what I was talking about. Here's a gentleman that's here. He's putting $30,000
Yes.
into a house. He's trying to, I think, do the right thing.
Yeah.
So thank you for your effort.
Que gracias a usted por arreglar la casa y invertir dinero en esa casa para verlo mejor. Yeah, he wants to do a good job because he wants that house for his family.
Okay.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
thank you guys.
What is the pleasure of the council?
Move that we table this resolution for 30 days.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to table the resolution for 30 days, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to table for 30 days.
What kind of, what we was gonna do for this right here? Our final public hearing is a resolution approving an issuance of an alcoholic beverage license, and this is Heavenly Blessing LLC doing business as Barney's Roadhouse located at 4405 Journey Place in District 6 has applied for a restaurant retail liquor license. Is there anyone to speak in opposition to this resolution? Right?
Madam Chairman, I'm Lee Roberts, the city attorney, and I do not believe the applicant is here today. I don't see her, and I want to ask some questions of her to make sure what I'm presenting is accurate and correct. The organization who is seeking the business license is Heavenly Blessings LLC, and the incorporator of Heavenly Blessing LLC is Miss Melanie Roach Kilgo. And it shows a registered office at 1940 Sheila Avenue at Southside, Alabama, 35907. By the way, I'm reading from documents obtained from the Alabama Secretary of State. Ms. Kilgo is also associated with an enterprise called MDK Enterprises LLC, which is a domestic limited liability company. She is a incorporator and registered agent of that entity, and it also indicates the same address of 1940 Sheila Avenue. So I'm pretty sure that this is the same individual. And according to records that I obtained from the finance department, MDK Enterprises operated a restaurant known as Lola's and Runts on Rainbow Drive. We call it the old facility, the one that was operated out of the old Pizza Hut building. And I don't really know the address, but they had a problem with paying sales tax and were very behind on their sales tax, and we worked a compromise with them on a pretty significant amount, in which that entity is paying $500 a month to satisfy that amount. The restaurant then relocated closer to City Hall on Rainbow Drive on the river. And at their second location, we have not received sales tax from this entity for the past 7 quarters. And so there's a real issue with MDK Enterprises paying sales tax, which is collected from the customers and is held and supposed to be paid to the city and the state, and is not being paid. And under the tax law in Alabama on past due sales taxes, there is the individuals who run the company, even though it is an LLC, they can be held individually liable or responsible to account for the sales tax, because as I said, those are not coming out of their pockets, coming out of their customers' pockets, what's being paid. And and so I would ask that the council, unless this can be cleared up, would deny the alcohol license at this time.
Is there anyone to speak in favor? Is there any discussion?
Madam President, I just want to again make this clear because concerning alcoholic beverage license, the problem here is a consistent track record of failure to submit or remit sales tax. And as a business owner, I'm hypersensitive to this scenario because we are not talking about property taxes or real property taxes or taxes that are levied against a business that they have to come up with out of operating funds. These are sales taxes that they are collecting on a nightly basis from customers. Customers are paying this revenue in, and these entities are operating as a tax collector for the city, but taking that money in from the customer and failing to submit it to the city, and that's a different story to me. I'm all about helping small businesses through tough times, and I'm all about working with small businesses to ensure their success, but this is funding that they are collecting and not remitting, and I think that's a different caliber in my mind.
So what is the pleasure of the council?
I'd like to make a motion that we table this for 7 days in order to allow the city attorney to draw up a resolution denying this license and stating the reasons that were discussed here.
Second.
Those in favor to table the resolution for 7 days, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries to table for 7 days.
Our next resolution is awarding a bid number 3411 for concealable ballistic vest. And the purchasing agent recommend awarding the bid to Gulf State Distributors, and the amount is $975 per vest. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next resolution is authorizing agreement with Axon Enterprise Incorporated, and this is a 5-year agreement for equipment and data management service to provide for 108 police body cameras, as the total amount is $427,101. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next resolution is authorizing acquisition of a permanent easement for the right-of-way, and this authorizes the city to acquire a permanent easement at the intersection of East Chestnut Street and George Wallace Drive from B&L Holding and Company to accommodate planned improvements to the intersection. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next resolution and last, accepting proposal from S&ME Incorporated, and this is for the preparation of abatement specification and guidelines for proper removal and disposal of asbestos containing material at the former Sears and DHR building located at 741 Forest Avenue. The estimated amount is $23,300. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Can I say something?
Yes.
For future reference, we own the building. We got it after we first got in office, and possibly down the road, that may be a place for a jail.
Interesting, Mayor. Is there any, did we vote on that? We voted. Is there any new business?
Yes, Madam President. I have one item that I'd like to present for consideration today. It's a resolution for a transportation plan regarding the Rebuild Alabama Act. I'd like to ask that we consider that today.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Second. Those in favor to consider the resolution today as an item of new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Did you want to say anything about it?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. And as many of you know, not to belabor the point, but when the Rebuild Alabama Act was passed, municipalities have a responsibility to make sure that we establish a plan for what we're going to do with the additional gas tax revenue. We also have a responsibility to establish a separate fund for those gas tax revenues to ensure that there's a segregation from our general fund budget. So this resolution serves to hold the city in compliance with the act and move us forward in that regard.
Okay. Is there any other new business?
Madam President, I have one from the Engineering Department. This is a resolution awarding bid 3413 for robotic scanning total station and equipment to Navigation Electronics Incorporated. The budgeted amount is $62,517.17. I would ask for unanimous consent.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution today under new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent is granted.
Ask to move for adoption.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Is there any more new business?
Yes, Mr. President, I have one, please. It's a resolution requested by the Finance Department for East Alabama Planning Commission grant agreement for the senior nutrition program at Elliott Community Center and also at Carver.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution today under new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
I move to adopt, please.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Department reports, committees, boards.
Thank you, Dr. Tolles, and to the council and mayor. I appreciate the time. I'll try to be brief. Had the opportunity last Thursday night to attend a portion of the Alabama Main Street Association meeting, which was held this year in Decatur. They move it throughout the state each year. We attended the Awards of Excellence, and I'm proud to say that the city and residents and business owners within the city of Gadsden received 6 grand total of these awards. I didn't bring them all, but they're all the same. 6 of these awards for various activities, buildings throughout the city of Gadsden, and I'll just take a quick minute and recognize those folks. First of all, the Main Street Hero Award from Gadsden went to Curly Doremus, who was accompanied by his lovely wife. Number 2, we had excellence in historic rehabilitation, and I'm sure you've all seen the Life of Alabama building on Broad Street and what a wonderful transformation that has made in that block there. And Michael and Allie Causey accepted that award. Number 3, we have the excellence in building design, which was Roseland Development Homes for a building here on Chestnut Street. Had Spencer Gray there with his wife, who I believe owns the building. Number 4, we had excellence in economic impact. That was Mr. Philip Williams. That is not Senator Philip Williams. We have several Philip Williams here in Gadsden, and he just finished the redevelopment of I call it the old Career Center, but it's the long brick building on 7th Street behind the existing downtown Gadsden and commercial development building. He calls that the Ironwood District. Again, that was excellence in economic impact. He has a lot of employees here in Gadsden, so we appreciate him. He's back and forth between here and Texas. The next 2 are actually the City of Gadsden and DGI. Well, one of them is, and that is an award for excellence in planning and public spaces, and that was for the Broad Street rooftop lighting, which was a partnership between us and DGI. DGI secured community development funding, and then the fundraiser Sunset Sips, I believe, also contributed to the purchase of the lights, and then the council awarded a bid to install the rooftop lighting. So if you haven't seen that at night, it's very attractive. And then last but not least, excellence in adaptive reuse, which is for the venue at Coosa Landing. So I want to recognize Heath Williamson for his contribution there. For those of you that have ever built a house or remodeled a house, you know how much work it can be picking finishes and interior design and such. And he was there from the beginning to the end, along with the staff of the mayor's office, Frankie Davis and myself. So really appreciate being recognized for that. I think our table had the second most awards in the house, and there really was quite a response to the venue specifically. So very, very proud of that. You all should be very proud. Thank you for always supporting what we do.
Very good.
Okay, we have remarks. Mayor?
To follow up on that, Shane, Kmart never looked so good.
Councilman Williams?
Thank you, Madam President. Again, I'd like to echo Shane's sentiment. It's great to be recognized at that level. And what you hear from the mayor to a large degree is just a response to just so much that came from naysayers, people who either lacked the ability to see the vision or who didn't have any vision of their own. And so it's just always good to see those types of projects come to fruition and actually be successful and appreciated. And so again, congratulations to all of those, in particular the individual citizens. I've been called a lot of things, Curly, but never a hero. So that's a big deal. So you should be proud of that. And so again, congratulations to everyone for their hard work and efforts as it relates to that. I talked a little bit last week about the FCC Order 621. For those of you that may be watching the council meeting on Channel 99, the ability to see the meeting on a public access channel is at risk. The ability to access Wi-Fi and enjoy broadband services in a city building, community centers and otherwise, is at risk. Those are things that this order have put at risk, and our recourse, other than legal recourses, at this point, are to reach out to our congressional representatives and make them aware that we're not okay with this. and to see if they can utilize their congressional authority to overturn it. So please make sure that if you're inclined to reach out to your congressional representatives, this is important enough to where I've talked about it 2 weeks in a row. And I think we should all reach out to, Mr. Adderholt was here just last week. We need to make sure he hears about this. Of our congressional representatives, I will say he has been the one that's opened himself up to us, and we need to make sure that we use that platform to reach out and make sure he's aware and that he supports us. This is very important to cities, and I don't want to get into all the details, but just please, when we tell you that it's important to us and to you, it is. It's a very important issue for us. The last thing I will say, Madam President, is we consistently deal with two fundamental failures on the part of citizens every week. Councilman Back spoke to, and it's always amazing to me. For years, we get criticized for the number of nuisance abatement cases that we have to hear. But what people really don't want to hear, and I'm going to make sure they hear it today, is that those cases are the result of two very fundamental failures. And those two very fundamental failures are failure to maintain, to code real property. What we see most of the time is either property where a responsible adult has either gotten too sick to or has passed on, is not able to maintain it or keep it up. And it gets passed on to a relative or to an heir who then is either not responsible or not available to take care of it. And it's already, most of the property's already old, and it declines to a point of becoming a public nuisance, and then that's when we have to get involved. It's not the city looking to take property, because we don't typically come into ownership of any of this property. But we do get the phone calls where citizens are complaining that there's a public nuisance on their street, and we have to respond. So again, please be mindful that those nuisance properties don't just happen by accident. The vast majority of them are because property owners are failing to maintain their property to code. And we can't get to them fast enough because there's so many of them. It's that bad. The second thing that just really scares me is that we have a number of people, and as Councilman Wilson spoke to earlier, we're all big supporters of small business. But what we're finding more and more is that there are people going into business who don't understand some of the very basic, fundamental concepts of what it means to run a business, meaning they don't understand how to maintain a set of books, a set of accounting books. And what happens when you don't understand the very basic fundamentals of maintaining a set of books is that you don't realize that when you collect sales tax, you have a responsibility to remit those sales tax to the appropriate government agency within a certain amount of time. And we're running into quite a bit of that, more of it than I even want to admit. It's scary. And so, again, for whatever it's worth from this seat, I want to encourage business owners. And I think there are groups out there like the Chamber, like the Gadsden Commercial Development Authority, like Gadsden State, who are presenting opportunities for these businesses to actually learn how to run businesses. But running a business means more than just putting your name on a building and selling products. You have to understand the financial responsibilities and the fiduciary responsibilities that you have in running that business. So we want to remind people of that, and to keep yourself out of trouble, because what Councilman Wilson spoke to earlier, these are not small crimes, and it is a crime. These are not small crimes. These are significant federal crimes that could land individual business owners in trouble. So, and I think that's all I have, and I do want to congratulate the two teams that participated this week in the Gadsden City Etowah game. Unfortunately, the Titans didn't win. Congratulations to the Blue Devils. But it was a very good ball game, and thank you to the community for the response. The community responded in a big way. That stadium was packed, and parking was a problem, and that's what you want. That's what you want. Thank you.
Councilman Batt.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam President. Last week, the Education and Recreation Committee, of which I'm a member of, met and heard from a citizen about a proposal to have water, continuous water at Nakalula Falls year-round. I just want to point out, I read a little bit on social media, and it's been in the paper a little bit. The only movement that was made is that we would listen to the proposal and that we would ask Heath Williamson, our city engineer, to speak with Steve Hildebrandt of Alabama Power to see if there is any interest or any kind of way to possibly move forward. There's no proposal to move forward. There's no proposal to spend any money. It's just simply doing the due diligence of listening to ideas, and sometimes that's scary to listen to a new idea, especially in Gadsden, as is evidence of the mayor's comments earlier about taking a former Kmart building and turning it into something called The Venue that just was recognized by a state organization as being the top new refurbished building in the state of Alabama, because he had vision and had an idea. And so we're not doing anything. We're just listening. I think we owe it to people, to taxpayers, to listen to their comments and listen to their ideas, as opposed to have a closed door mentality. So that's all I'll say about that. Deverick, your comments on the housing situation is well said. I mean, that's exactly what I want to say is come to us before it gets to that point. You know, we get accused, all y'all do is tear down houses. Well, that's correct, because all y'all do is put us in that position. Don't let yourself get in that position, and we won't have to tear down a bunch of houses. So it comes down to personal responsibility, such as Deverick said. District 4, of which I represent, includes Rainbow Drive and Country Club Drive. For some reason lately, it seems like that's turned into the Talladega 500. Everybody is flying up and down those roads, and you'll notice police cars are on Rainbow Drive, which they should be, giving out tickets, and they might be on Country Club Drive. So that's a warning. Don't speed on Country Club Drive. Don't speed on Rainbow Drive. Everybody's in a hurry. You know what? Leave earlier. You need to do a better plan if you got to be somewhere at 12, don't leave at 11:50 and get mad at me for going 45, 50 miles an hour. Be responsible. And so I've had a lot of calls on that, a lot of calls of speeding. There's residents that are upset because cars are speeding by their house. So I've responded appropriately, and so will the Gadsden Police Department. Also, District 4, I had a lot of calls and a lot of mention on social media about a coyote sighting and a coyote problem in Country Club and Clubview. I've done a lot of research on that. And I'm about to present a plan to the mayor's office here shortly about what other cities have done that has actually helped to reduce and almost eradicate that problem. And it's not going to be what everybody thinks it is, which is killing and caging and things like that of coyotes. There's a lot, that's a problem in every city, in every county, in every state in the United States of America. We're not the only people that have those animals running around. So help is on the way. Everybody just kind of breathe deep, in through the nose, out through the mouth, breathe deep, calm down, and maybe we can work on this together to help that situation. And then last but not least, I brought up a motion to spend $62,517.17. That's a lot of money. And it goes to the engineering department, but I had to ask Heath Williamson what that was for today in the pre-council meeting. And it's basically going to save our city a lot of money. It's going to save manpower. It's going to increase the capabilities of the engineering department to perform their duties as they have to do. That's set out by state and federal regulations and city ordinances. So it's money well spent, and kind of combines about 4 machines into one machine, and will make that department much more efficient. As opposed to 2 people doing that job, now 1 person can do that job. So I think sometimes we sit up here and we approve, $400,000 here, $60,000 there. We're spending money left and right, and maybe we don't explain to the public what that money's for. Everything we do like that is thought out, well planned, researched, has to go to bid. nothing happens fast at City Hall because there's a lot of regulations and rules that are well intended and in place for good reasons in order for that not to happen. So I appreciate Heath bringing that to the attention of us so we could purchase that equipment for the engineering department. And that is my sermon for today. Amen.
Amen.
Councilman Wilson.
I just want to say hello to Tony Calvert, Matt Blum from the fire department. Thank you guys for coming out. I know you've got some issues in front of the mayor's office and the city council, and I look forward to working with you on that stuff. Thank you for everything that you guys do as firefighters for this community. The other thing I'll say, speaking of firefighters and what they do for this community, a lot of what they do is go put out fires in old abandoned houses. So that's just one example of what those firefighters have to do, and another reason why we spend so much time talking about tearing down old abandoned houses. Because again, as you heard from one of the previous property owners, you set up an environment for infestation of insects and rodents and illegal drug activity, and then again, physical hazards like fires. So just quick math, guys, this is easy. When people talk about how many houses we tear down here, 50 years ago, the population of Gadsden was about 75,000 people. Right now, it's about 38,000 people and finally growing again, thanks to the leadership of the mayor. But what that means is, just by the rough math, and I'm making these numbers up, but that means there's 30,000 houses out there that nobody's living in anymore. Now, obviously, it's not that many, but it puts it in perspective. There's tens of thousands of properties in this community that don't currently have occupants in them, and most of the people who own those properties, again, have given them up, and now they're owned by the state. The state's not going to come out and make sure those properties are in good standing so that they don't represent a hazard to everybody else in this community and don't drive down property values. And the other scenario, again, is like we saw today, where the homes are actually in possession of an estate. An attorney, maybe sometimes not even from this community, not even from this state, not even from this side of the country, owns these properties and has no interest in this community. They have no interest in these properties ever being rehabilitated, and that's where it falls onto the shoulders of this city to maintain and continue to beautify and maintain this city. So when you talk about, just to give you some rough numbers, we average about 100, 125 houses, I think, a year, abating them, 200. If we kept up that rate, if you divided 30,000 theoretical abandoned homes by 200, it would take us 135 years to tear all these houses down. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and obviously what we hope we can accomplish is investing in economic development projects, investing in the people of this community so that our economy will grow again and those property values will continue to go up and people will see the opportunity to go out and refurbish some of these houses, and we don't have to spend the next 100 years tearing them all down. So that's all I have to say about the housing issue. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Forrest Gump, for all you had to say about that. If you remember that. I'd just like to talk about what they was talking about the old abandoned houses and houses need work. We get people to come up here all the time and want 30 days, 45 days, and I don't know what the percentage is, but the percentage of people that come that do this is probably 1% of the people that come up here actually follow through with what they say they're going to do on those fixing these houses up. They find out how much money it's going to cost, the time frame, and the labor and all that they've got involved, and they just finally just give up and just don't do anything. Right, Mr. Harbison, do you know what the percentage might be that comes? I said 1 or 2% that actually completes it when they come before us.
That follow through?
That follow through?
I would say less than 5%.
Yeah, I was pretty close then. But if you're going to come up here and you really want to get your property fixed and you really got the money and you're really going to do it, we'll be glad to help you. But if you just come up here and blow smoke and want 6 months, a year, we can see through that. If you let your property go so long that you hadn't did anything in 3 or 4 years, chances are you're not going to bring it back up. I mean, it's just a hazard. We've had 3 people that I know of in Alabama City to die in old abandoned houses they was trying to live in, and they died in those. And You know, nobody wants that. We want our city to prosper. We want our city to be clean. All these houses brought back up where people can live in them. We hate to tear your house down, but if you're not going to fix it, we don't have much choice. And that's all I got to say about that.
Thank you, Forrest.
Councilman Reed.
Good Lord, I'm worn out. I swear. Amen. Hey, Deborah, I'm gonna tell you something. He threatened me if I called Kmart. You know, if I called Kmart, it's the venue, y'all. It's the best thing we got going. I think his name's Kent. Cricket Adams came to us about 2 years ago. If you don't know about coyotes, I got his telephone number. Gave us a complete plan on how to do it. The only problem is the coyotes were here before, or the wild animals were here before we were. So we're infringing on their rights. We got to keep that in mind too. That's why my wife feeds them every night, I think. That deal is. And while we're talking about tearing stuff down and all this stuff and what we all do and everything, Bo Shirley sat right out there this morning, got his business rezoned for future expansion. He's showing confidence in Gadsden and in Alabama City and in everybody here. He's a perfect example of what we ought to be doing instead of tearing themselves down. But he's gonna borrow the money or put his own into it. He's gonna take a chance and he's gonna make it. But I appreciate Bo doing that, I really do. That's all.
Amen.
Citizens, just get involved. Due to the Labor Day holiday next Monday, garbage routes will be collected on Tuesday, and Tuesday's route will be collected on Wednesday. Thursday and Friday's route will not change. Is there anything else to come?
Madam President, I just want to say one more thing before the holiday weekend. Please, please, please don't drink and drive. There's too many options. We have cab services now. We have these ride share programs. I'll give you my phone number. You can call me. Please, please, please don't drink and drive.
Anything else coming for the council? I ask for a motion to adjourn.